A very pleasant good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of those who are watching and listening to us. This is Rita Gadi, and this is your hour. As I've said, wherever you're located. Before we begin our program, I would want to make a greeting, I should have done this yesterday. This is a request of JV Oxenia. It was his wedding anniversary, and I think he has tapped several people to give him a message, and I should have done this yesterday. But you see, JV, I think it is best that I do this solo today so that it is not too crowded with so many people wishing you the happy anniversary for your wedding. As a matter of fact, as I've said, all I have are words. And these words are the ones that would weave into the music of your hearts, both you and your wife, so that they could be able to reverberate every year of the past and every year today and every year in the future, where you could be celebrating this anniversary as long as both of you can be able to hold hands together and have your hearts entwined together. And so here we have, for instance, what we've always said, just words, but then the words are what actually expresses what we feel. And so it is not just wishing you the best of everything, it is wishing you everything that is actually the best for both of you. So JV, happy anniversary, and this is a little delayed, one day, but then it could be every day. Now we come to our program, and I'd like to welcome Bono Adaza. We have one important subject matter for today, which is simply the heroes of yesterday, the heroes of today, and perhaps we would search for the heroes of the future. Bono Adaza is one living hero that I have to introduce every time we have this program. Oh, I love your t-shirt, Bono. You look so much younger. Can you hear me? Yes, do we have your audio already? Anyway, so our program today, Bono, is heroes past and present. If we have to go by the way our history has been written, we have seen how even prior to the Philippine Revolution, we already had several of these acts of heroism in, who are they? Some of our ancient ancestors. Do we call them ancient or do we just call them ancestors? Lacandula, Sumakwel, Sikatuna, Lapu-Lapu, and of course, Raja Sulaiman in Manila that had the biggest and most beautiful kingdom by the Pasig River. They were also considered, in a way, heroes of their time. In, like, for instance, you had Sikatuna having this Pacto de Sangre, a blood compact with Legazpi when Legazpi finally came to establish the continuation of the imperialist rule of Spain in our country, and that was long before we had the Philippine Revolution of 1896. So if we speak of these people, then we also have to mention Diego Silang, for instance, Gregorio del Pilar, and of course Andres Bonifacio. You had Adrian Cristobal, who had a whole book written about the tragedy of the revolution, which is a story actually of Andres Bonifacio. And yesterday we had the celebration, Bono, of National Heroes Day, August 30. I don't know if this is the culmination of the 1 week of August in 1896, where you had the Pact of Biak-na-Bato, the tearing of the cedula, and several other events that led to actually the cry of Balintawak, if we would call it that. So that was then. And yesterday is the Araw ng Kagitingan, or the day of valor, and the day where we honor and remember the heroes of the past. So, Bono, what do you remember?
I remember very well August 30. Yes. Why? This would have been the 114th birthday anniversary of President Ramon Magsaysay.
Oh, yes, yes.
He would have been 114 yesterday. And, you know, talking about heroes, I want to talk about two heroes of my time. My father was mayor of our town for about 20 years, who gave me one of the most brilliant legacies of my time when he said, when wealth is lost, nothing is lost. When health is lost, something is lost. But when character is lost, everything is lost.
Character.
The other one is my mother. She's also my heroine because she is an iconic public school teacher in our town and later in Cagayan de Oro City. She's educated generations of Mindanaoans. And many of these Mindanaoans still remember up to this day the teachings of my mother and her sacrifices. One time or twice, she was even, in order to report to the school somewhere in Cagayan de Oro, she almost was washed away by the river.
Oh, wow.
Because it was flood time. Good for her, she survived. And, the heroes of our time, I am surprised with governments. They consider OFWs, the overseas Filipino workers, heroes. They consider the frontliners heroes. But the government give them difficult time. When the OFWs come home from the place where they work, customs and immigration give them a difficult time. Why doesn't the government tell them? Tell these people in customs and immigration that if these are the heroes of our time, they should be treated like one instead of being treated like criminals, as if they are smugglers or something. The government should learn that. And frontliners, imagine complaining, you have not received their benefits and it's defined in law. Why can't the government give them their benefits? By God, they are heroes of our time. Many of these people who got sick of coronavirus, Xi Jinping coronavirus, they would have died were it not for these frontliners. For heaven's sake, the government should give them what they deserve, and they even deserve more. I regret that I'm not in government, because if I were, by God, I will raise hell in the way these frontliners are being treated.
Yes, so we speak of all of these, of the heroes of our past and the heroes of the present. Let me just get into the idea of what heroism is all about, just so that we can not just have an historical context on this. 100 years, not 100 years, but sometime back when we celebrated 100 years of the Philippine Revolution, there was this national call for writers to write about the Philippine Revolution in the context of today. And so I wrote on the Philippine Revolution in the context of today from the point of view of the wife of a rebel, an 18-year-old lady in love with the rebel. And that was Gregoria de Jesus in love with Andres Bonifacio.
You have an epic poem about Gregoria de Jesus.
Exactly. It is the Song of Lacandini. That was what she was called. And that is how I would like to introduce the entrance into the heroism that we have to talk about today. I will read just the first stanzas of this epic. I will sing of the men who built our land and of the women who gave it her love, and of the forces that pulled them down against the land to gather the wealth kept within its earth. I will sing of the tale of that wealth. No weapon could slay the secrets it held, not even the gods trespassed its glory. I will sing of the battles our heroes fought, causing misery to wail across the seas, the story of the rape of motherland, and the agony her anger unleashed. I will sing. I will sing of pain in all its elements, laid before the fields of sorrow, of the tempest that played with the freedom of our souls. I will sing of travesty and the evil it brings, and of constant hope. I will sing. I will sing of the dreams of our people overpowered the heavens with, that gave the deities joy and the furies wretchedness, of the children and the terror in their eyes, left untended in the season of exile. I will sing.
Excellent.
I will sing of the lamentations in the prison yards and the floods caused by the weeping of cruelty, and all of those who despise the soil that we claimed at birth, gasping for the breath of peace to calm the turmoil of any revolution. I will sing. I will sing of our journey and the journey of our race after the death of our heroes, whose spirits became the lineage of our dreams. I will sing of those who touch the energy of those dreams, those slain by envy and those saved by love. So that, in a way, summarizes the entrance we have into the past and the present, Bono. What we have glorified then and what we have to glorify today and in the future.
I remember very well my conversation in Malacanang with President Carlos P. Garcia. You know, in my senior year in the College of the University of the Philippines, the president whom I helped to be installed as president of the university ran after me because of a column I wrote sometime before against him. Okay. So they were castigating me for leading a demonstration in UP precisely for the election of a UP president. And Vice President Manuel Velayos, who was senator, delivered a privileged speech. Fausto Duino, our congressman, also delivered a privileged speech defending me and academic freedom. So since UP, by the way, the executive committee voted 11-7 to strip me of my diploma. So Velayos sent me to President Garcia. The president, by the way, of the Philippines is the chairman of the Board of Governors, which is the highest governing body of the University of the Philippines and all state colleges and universities. And this conversation took place. Garcia said, "Why did he treat you in this manner? I thought there's academic freedom in the university." "Yes, Mr. President. But when UP could not win the propaganda war because they lost the war on the issue of academic freedom, they released a column of mine where I resented the statement of Indalicio Pisolonco of the Manila Chronicle. He said that anybody who has not read the life and the works of Rizal should not consider himself a Filipino. I said, my God, if that's going to be the standard, 98% of Filipinos are not Filipinos. So I resented and I said, you know, according to Professor Otley Bayer, Rizal was the choice of the Americans because they had to have somebody to be a hero, national hero, who will be cooperating, whose works cooperate with colonizers. So I said, no, the hero of the country should be Andres Bonifacio. So, you know what Garcia told me? You know, Homobono, I agree with you. But it is difficult to fight a dead hero, especially Rizal. So you and I should both keep our silence and not say anything more to fan the fires. You know, a country should choose its own heroes. No colonizers should choose heroes for our people, tell us to build monuments for them. The choice should be ours. Like in the present, we should be choosing our heroes, not to be told who are our heroes. You know, fanaticism should be removed from the idea of heroism, because heroism is something that is genuine. It's genuine, it's sterling, it's excellent performance, it's God-given, no? And our people should be able to make a choice. How I wish I'd have some opportunity later in the history of our country to help choose who our heroes should be and how to treat heroes in this country. You know, we should have people who have done something solid for our country as our heroes. We should do that. Yeah. Well, Quezon during his time said, I'd rather have a government run like hell by Filipinos rather than a government like heaven by American at the time. That's true. But by God, if the Americans can build a government, this country run like heaven, why not? If the Chinese can do it and we cannot do it, why not? Why not? So the heroes are to be defined within the context of their time. Magsaysay. Definitely, Magsaysay was the hero of his time. By God, as Secretary of National Defense, he showed how it is to be a good Secretary of National Defense for the country. And when he became president, wow, you know, mambo, mambo, magsaysay.
Yes,
Mambo, mambo, mabuhay.
that was a famous jingle
Kung wala si
during
Magsaysay.
his campaigns, yes.
Yes,
Do you remember who composed that?
yeah, Raul Manglapos.
Yes, Raul Manglapos.
Raul Manglapos. He's the same Raul Manglapos who used the pseudonym of Lieutenant Reyes. But sabi ni Raul, Bataan has fallen, but the liberty-loving peoples of the world, but the liberty loved by the living people of the democratic people of the world will not die. Raul was a pretty good writer. Pretty good writer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he
had a book on land reform, which was entitled "Land of Bondage, Land of the Free."
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty good.
It actually described what land reform should be and what it should do for the country. And when you look at it now, what has happened, you know, after all these years that you've partitioned the land, have we increased our production of food products, not only just of rice, but everything else that would at least sustain 3 meals a day for the rest of the country. But despite the fact that we have had this agrarian reform, well, anyway, that's going beyond our topic for the day. Let's go back to the heroes that we have emulated time and time again. You mentioned something about Jose Rizal. 2 novels that he wrote actually triggered
pretty good.
The anger of the Spaniards in that, and together with what was happening already after the martyrdom of Gomburza, Fathers Gomez, Burgos, and Zamora, then you already had Jose Rizal, and that was, you see how it is, you know, the pen is mightier than the sword. They were more afraid of the way his writing would be able to ignite the people. Although several other writers during the propaganda movement, when they were still abroad and they were already here, you had the Indios Bravos, you have the propaganda movement when they were writing in abroad. And then you had several letters also from Andres Bonifacio to Emilio Jacinto, and all of the exchanges of how they intend to bring about the country towards its freedom and its liberty, and many of those things actually written down. So you have just these words that we consider today as part of the heroic acts that many of our heroes actually engaged in. But I was saying that prior to that, you already had Takandula, Sikatuna, and all of this. And then you had in our part, Bono, where we're coming from, in Mindanao, we had Sultan Kudarat, you know. He was one of the most honored of the other heroes that we have there, that he was able to unite many of the tribes. So you have many of these men and women. Speaking of women, I was talking about Gregoria de Jesus.
In Mindanao.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, Salipada Pindatun.
Yeah, Salipada Pindatun.
I remember him very well. Because I was with him in the Batasang Pambansa. I had great time with Salipada Pindatun, and I've heard a lot about him. And I had one experience with Salipada Pindatun because he was vice president of the Liberal Party for Mindanao. And Vice President Vilais violated the rule of the Liberal Party that an incumbent governor should be the official candidate of the party. My father-in-law was governor. So I went to Villarreal, the president of the party. Villarreal said, Cornelio Villarreal, speaker. Yeah. No? You see, Sally Pindatun. I flew immediately to Cotabato City. And I was talking with him in the presence of his nephew, Dato Manong, who later became governor, member of parliament, and secretary of justice, I think. And then, Sally was telling me, you are telling me that your father-in-law is the incumbent? Yes. And he's being deprived of being the official candidate. Go back to Cagayan de Oro, organize a rally there. I will go there and proclaim your father-in-law as the official candidate of the Liberal Party. I mean, these are guys who observe not only rules, but to the Constitution. Sultan Saramain, one of the Alontos, no? One of those.
Dumukao.
Yeah, Dumukao, Abul, your good friend and mine. But Sultan Saramain was one of those who really was the early hero in Mindanao. But the other one was, there are others. In heroes in Mindanao, Sulu, and many other places. I can't recall some of their names, but very brilliant ones in the way they fought the wars for our people.
Yeah, when you have to define what a hero is, we come across a lot of definitions regarding this. One of those that I came across with is by Joseph Campbell. He's a mythologist, and that is exactly how he described a hero. A hero is someone who has given his life for a cause greater than himself. So it is not exactly just martyrdom, but as he said, you may either have the words that will be able to bring about the people to a level that they deserve, which is the level of excellence or the level of having a better life, or you're able to do something by circumstance that is able to save the community or the people. So there you have the two definitions by which he was trying to classify what a hero is. It has to be a cause greater than yourself, actually. So you have leaders and leaders. You have characters and the politicians, but not everybody can be called a hero. For example, there was this big debate of whether Napoleon Bonaparte was just a leader and a strategist, thinking of being able to enter Russia and conquer it likewise. Or was he just ahead of the pack? Was he just a leader? And so you have George Patton. When he went to Africa, was he a hero or was he just leading his troops to be able to have a conquest of Africa and several of the states in Africa? So there you have that question, which is actually at the brink of whether a politician who does something good for his people can be considered a hero or just a leader, just ahead. So what is it? By circumstance, by choice, by destiny, or by historical events that he has been put there in a position? That is what we have to look into at present. Because the heroes of the past have already volumes and volumes of books written about them. Many things are still being discovered about others, and many names are coming up. Like, for instance, the 1 week of August, 1896, you had a lot of names that I saw planning for the revolution that would have ignited finally, the revolt against Spain. But then, of course, that was cut short with the murder of the trial and the murder of Andres Bonifacio. But be that as it may, Bono, now is the time, as you said, to really consider in ourselves, by ourselves, the heroes of today. The heroes of the day, if you look at what has happened with the commercialization of what heroism is, you have the superheroes, Superman, Batman, Robin. You have the Marvel heroes. You have yes, all of this, Iron Man, etc. They have extra powers given to them. Sometimes they have mythological connections, like they were given by the gods, etc. They even acquired some of the names of the ancient Greek gods. But be that as it may, this Marvel heroes are actually endowed with certain, not supernatural, but extra powers. But being just human and using human capabilities, those are the kinds of heroes that we should really, get into our lives, internalize for that matter. We have a series of this, as I've said, all of these Marvel heroes, and that's exactly what our young people are looking at. Now you have all of this games that you have, mobile games or whatever else they call it, and then you also have the heroes winning the competitions, winning the awards. Of course, this is a different matter altogether. We have sports heroes, athletes, going back to the time of the Olympia or the Olympic Games, where the heroes, the athletic heroes, were also poets in their own right, So
Rita, I have a simple definition of what a hero is.
Very well.
A hero is a man who lives for God, country, and people. That's my simple definition of a hero. When you are guided by God to serve people and country, that is heroism. Even the ordinary person who is guided by this simple principle is a hero to himself and to his family and to his community. The recognition may not be done on the national level, but there are heroes everywhere, in small communities, in subdivisions, in barangays, in puruks, where many people of this kind who really live for God, country, and people. That to me is the simple definition of a hero. And it takes a lot of heroism to do that.
For God, country, and people, how often this is said in many oratorical speeches of politicians, but they're just words, actually. But to really commit yourself to God, to country, and to people is really something that reaches out beyond yourself.
Yes.
First, there is the moral character. When you recognize the idea or the presence of a God, then there is this ethical standard that you will have to follow to be godlike, precisely. And how many of us will still remember the moral character that is so important in our lives today? Because now everything is reduced to wealth and power.
You know, Rita, the definition of life these days for many people is wealth and influence, the wealth, power and influence, and sex. That's how they define their lives. The one who is considered an excellent person, an example to the community, is he who demonstrates these three kinds of greed. When one is powerful, influential, when one is rich, when one has so many women, these are the ones that are being placed in a pedestal by so many people. You know, that's the problem. You know, leaders, for instance, should really lead by example so that the ordinary individual will live his life in accordance with the life of the leaders. Lives of great men all remind us we can make our lives sublime, and departing leave behind us footprints in the sands of time. Footprints which perhaps another, seeing life so remain, a forlorn and shipwrecked brother, seeing shall take heart again. That's the quality of the heroes we have. That's the quality of leaders we need in this country. That's what should be integrated into the being and the system for an individual who wants to be a leader. The misfortune in this country, we have a parade of individuals who wants to be president of this country, whose qualifications belongs to the genius of the below average. I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for that because superior intelligence and a loving heart are necessary components for leadership. There should be a combination of the heart and mind. Without that particular combination, something is lost along the way.
You know, sometimes when we look at qualifications, it is being confused as to the degrees that one has acquired in college, the honors that one has attached to the name, the titles, for instance, together with, as you said, the amassing of wealth, all the base base appetites, this kind of appetites, this greedy, the greediness that goes into the search for money and for power and for influence and all of this. And that is what has been classified as a person that will, that people look up to. In the same manner that, for instance, you have celebrities, movie actors, movie actresses, when they perform in the movies, and they have some feat that could, they could kill a dozen people with just one shooting of a gun, then they're considered also, mga bida yan. Bidang-bida sila, hero yan and all. So you see how we have categorized it, we have, how do you call it, adulterated the concept of what heroism and what hero should be. I've mentioned all of these celebrities and leaders and politicians that go, just because they can speak well, or they can appear on television, or they can, they're already considered as somebody that will have to be emulated. What has happened, Bono? From the time that you were mentioning Ramon Magsaysay, was there anybody else after him? Or perhaps just a very few of our presidents? And you mentioned Salipada Pendatun. Well, he was not president. He was a senator before he was a congressman. You had several of these individuals that markedly had traces of heroism in them. That was a generation of our time. The generation after our time. What has happened, Bono?
Something was lost along the way. Because like Pendatun, he was not only congressman and senator, he was a guerrilla leader.
Oh, yes, right.
He fought for the country.
Yeah,
Another one, Tomas Confesor. He also became senator. He was also a guerrilla leader in his area. Macario Peralta, the chocolate soldier. He was, before he became senator and secretary of national defense, he was also a guerrilla leader. Terry Adivoso, Hunters, ROTC. I mean, these men who fought for the country, for love of country and not love for themselves.
But if there is no war, if you cannot go, if you are not involved,
even if there is no war, Rita, for instance, you can do certain things. If you are a good writer, you write about things that need to be done. You write about things that people should study and learn. You write about things that people should imitate. That's a kind of heroism. That's why, when I campaigned for governor, they were telling me, no, you dance, you sing. Good God, I'm a candidate for governor. I want to govern this province with the people. I'll tell them what is my platform. I'll tell them what I will do as governor. I'll tell them my qualifications. Why do you make me dance? I don't like to be a dancer. No, I sing. I don't like to be a singer. Though I can sing then, not now. I have lost my my baritone.
You should do practice every day, Bono. You don't lose that. You have my goodness, Pavarotti and Placido. All of this, Placido Domingo. You have all of them still singing in their late. Well, anyway, let's go back to what you were mentioning, Bono, regarding this offering of oneself to a cause, for instance, like God, country, and people. It is beautiful to hear and to listen to. But how do you offer yourself to country and to people? As you said, in the purok, in the barangay, in the sitio, in villages, you could find there several of the people who actually have within them the traces of heroism. But what has happened to the level of those that are supposed to be leading us? We are going to have elections in 2022. Here you have another big batch of people aspiring for so many positions. Can you imagine? Other than
I'm doing a series in my column in Facebook and examining them. And towards the end, maybe on the 8th and 9th, my analysis of why these people should not be running. Why they should not be running.
Should
and what
not
are
be
the
running.
qualities necessary for a good president. You know, the thing that gets me attracted to Marcos, no, reviewing the past, not only because of our mutual exchanges, no, some kind of a mutual admiration club, but it's vision. It's in his book, New Society. What kind of a country does he want to have in this country? What are the specifics that he would do in doing for the country? He's brilliant in comparison to the others, because the others are not even intellectual. They are just pygmies, you know. They're just pygmies in comparison to him. And that's why, Rita, no, I'm not lifting my own chair. I am in the process, I told you, in writing a book, because even long before I became governor, I have my own concepts of what kind of a country I'd like to live in. What I would do if I were placed in a position of power. I'm not in search of a position of power, because if I were consumed by ambition, I would have been there a long time ago, a long time ago. But there are certain standards that you have to follow. Otherwise, you betray yourself. I cannot. If I betray myself, I'm likely to betray my country. I am likely to betray my friend. I am likely to betray my neighbors, because you don't have principles, you don't have ideals, you don't have character, and you don't have integrity. That's what we need in this country. That's it. To me, 2022 is a benchmark year. You know, it is a temptation for me at this age. At this age, you know, I'm talking about the chronological age, because in my life, I never defined myself in terms of the chronological age. I define myself in the way I feel, in the way I think, in the way I want to do things, not for myself, but for our people and for the country, as well as to be in the service of God. Because important as a guide is human behavior. As Napoleon Bonaparte said, without God, men will be robbers. Very simple statement, but there is some truth in it. The main problem here is people proclaim openly they have God's right in the sit and kneel in the front pew of churches and pray as if they are the angels from heaven, and when they get out with the church, by God, it's the total reverse of their personality inside the church. You know, there should be a confluence between words and action, between theory and practice. Without the confluence of these two elements, it's nothing eh. Walang mangyayari sa buhay natin. Walang may tabo sa kinabuhi sa Pilipino. Kung pirmi lang itanana, that's why 2022 is a benchmark year. I really work hard to inform.
Exactly.
To inform the people on what they need to do. If I have to run for public office, I might just decide to do that.
I think you should, Bono. It's about time that you should really. But you mentioned something which is very critical and very important. You mentioned something about people sitting in the front row, the front pew of a church praying. This brings about the idea of ethics or morals. And that is something which we have lost. If a person could only have the moral character, then that already is a spelling of everything else that will govern his life. Time was when our laws, our ancient laws, the Maragtas, the Kalantiao Code, and all of this, were actually codes of ethics. There was a moral standard to it. It is not just following the rules, but it is following what is moral, what is ethical, what is godlike. That is what sometimes you just call it a platitude for God, country, and people. But when you speak of for God, that already encompasses the entire moral character of a person. And we do not find that anymore in politicians, in our leaders, because all they talk about are the same, the same statements that have already been rehashed so many times: alleviation of poverty, building houses, etc., and all. But as you said, what is there that you can be able to show the people so that their lives could be lives of dignity and honor as a human being? It is not just the food for the body, but also the food for the mind and the food for the soul. And you can only do that if a person has the moral character to do so.
That's true.
How
If
many
I have an
leaders have
opportunity,
that?
Rita, to
Pardon?
join the circle of power in 2022, I will remove all the pictures of people in the office. What should be placed there on the left side should be the 10 Commandments. And on the right side, the things that what is citizen and what the country stands for. So it's a reminder every day of your life. Instead of looking at pictures, I like my pictures to be seen in the provincial governor's office or in the Batasang, Pambansa, or in immigration. Have these things so that every day, every person who serves this country should remember what he or she needs to do. Constant reminders. Because here, we fail. There's so many people are schooled, but they're not educated. They're schooled, but not educated. That's why we need weekly reorientation. During the time of President Marcos, I was governor, there were eco seminars from the provincial government to the towns, to the barangays, to the puroks, eco seminars every week. And I did that in my province. How people in a community should behave and what needs to be done.
One of the fundamentals of the Development Academy of the Philippines, when it was organized and established, is precisely that. The continuous re-education of people in public service, so that it is not just a matter of knowing what your particular office is all about, but knowing what you yourself can be able to do for that office. It's not just, it's not just the administrative, bureaucratic, robotic kind of work that you have to do. But as it's always said, there has to be the element of, of increasing not just knowledge, as you said, education and all of this, but something that could really bring out the best in a person. That is, going back to all of these candidates and etc. and all of this aspiring for public office. Maybe the first question we should ask is, what is your vision?
That's precisely.
What is your vision? Do you have
their
an
vision,
ideological
Rita,
base? Yes.
Their vision is television. That's the problem. Television, not vision. And even their vision is not 2020. It's already up to 50. It's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. When a man, for instance, runs for public office, some of the things that should come to mind should be this. Simple, from the inaugural speech of President John F. Kennedy. Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Very simple statement. You ask these people that question. And, coming from a state university, these are the three things that always remind me, Rita. When I was oriented as a freshman student, the state university is designed to promote the tradition of excellence in all fields of human activity. Excellence in all fields of human activity. The second is to produce excellent, not only national leaders, but community leaders. And third is to preserve and promote the tradition of something like tradition of honor. I always remember that when I do something, am I doing right? You should be tested by all these things. And I'm sorry, I keep on repeating things that I've remembered from the past, because these are the guides for individuals to serve the people. Not gold, but only man can make. A people great and strong, men who for truth and honor's sake stand fast and suffer long. Brave men who work while others sleep, who dare while others fly. They build the nation's pillars deep and left them to the sky.
Exactly. That is why when we ask the question, do we still need heroes? That is
Yes.
now the answer, as you were saying. That
We
is,
do.
yes.
I'm trying hard to be one. I know you're trying hard to be one too.
That is precisely why we speak of this, not just in memory of all of those brave men and women that fought in revolutions and wars, all of the soldiery and all of this military men and all of those defending our country, but also in defense of what? Of stupidity, of of immorality, in defense against corruption and all of this. Those are the wars that actually we are confronting on a day-to-day basis. It does not need the sword or ammunitions or all of these weapons of mass destruction. It only needs from within yourself to be able to combat precisely what is wrong with human nature in the community, in yourself. As you were mentioning earlier, to thine own self be true, or else you betray your ideals, you betray your vision.
Talking about questions, if I were a part of the debate in 2022, these are the questions I will ask the participants. By the way, what do you intend to do with the justice system in very specific terms? I'd like to know that. What do you intend to do with the political system? Just don't tell me federal and parliamentary, in very specific terms. Tell me, tell the people. In agriculture, what do you intend to do in agriculture? In very specific terms. Not have more production. In very specific terms. What do you want to do? In foreign affairs, what do you want to do in foreign affairs? In very specific issues. I mean, these are the questions that should be asked these presidential candidates by the panel of interrogators. They should interrogate them. I'm sure between now and campaign time, if they do not read books, they will not be able to answer these questions. They will be groping in the dark and come out with motherhood statements.
I was just going into that, Bono, with all of these questions. You know, I've always been tempted to ask just one question in the beginning of an interview. What was the latest book that you read? Because by the reading, you would be able to get into the mind of this person. Reading is actually one aspect which, you know, you internalize if you are a good reader and if you have good books. Even fiction, especially in fiction, you enter into the lives and the conflicts about the War and Peace and all of this, you know, all of these great novels that we have. Many of them are fictionalized, but actually that is indicative of the person who would want to enter into an office to serve other people. The kind of books that they read. Nako, you know, that is very important. Other than, kasi sabi mo nga, what specifics in agriculture, etc. Pero kung meron talaga siyang binabasa, then he would have a sense of how he can have food on the table for 18 million of those below the poverty line. My goodness, we are 110 million population. 18 million lang yung kanilang sa statistics na walang makain. My goodness, you know. Then you have a candidate here who will build homes for everybody, homes for the homeless, food for the foodless. Oh my goodness, you know.
You know, there are certain general principles talking about reading. That's why this book of Ernest Hemingway, For Whom the Bell Tolls.
For Whom the Bell Tolls.
I'm infused by Robert Jordan, the principal character. He's American. it's Spain. It's a civil war in Spain. So he was asked by one of the guerrilleros, why are you here? You're not the Spaniard. You're an American. He said, well, where there is oppression, where there is injustice, where there is a lack of freedom, there, that is my country because I'll fight against them. You know, and well articulated by Hemingway in the beginning of the book, citing the poem of John Donne's Devotional. No man is an island entire of itself. Everyone is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. If a cloud be washed away by the sea, Europe is the less, just a promontory where, just as a manner of thine own friends. Every man's death diminishes me because I'm involved in mankind. So never send to know for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for
yes, it tolls for thee. Exactly how it is. That is the kind of community life that we really should be having. And as you were mentioning, it is the stretching out outside of ourselves for other people. That is the country and the people. Other than our God, there is the country and the people. But as we've said, here we are to face again another national elections. And sometimes our choices are so limited because those that really should be in public office shy away from public office. And those that are not shying away are those who should not be there, actually.
Yeah, you know, Rita, one of the tragedies of our time, or even the past, is brilliant men don't get to be there. Because even if the temptation were handed to them in their hands, the opportunity, they somehow reject it for one reason or another. That's where the tragedy. I think 2022 should be a benchmark year. People who really want to serve God, country, and the people should come out in the open. Don't be afraid of what will happen in the election. What's important is you will be heard. You will be heard, and the people will be able to make a choice. Diba?
Yeah, this reminds me of something quite humorous, conversation between Albert Einstein and Charlie Chaplin. And, you know, when Albert Einstein was offered the Secretary General, President of the United Nations, remember, he was offered that. And he refused. Yes, he refused. And so he was asked, why so? And so he said, it's already very difficult to meet people with common sense, you know, because common sense is not, it's something which punishes you because there are very few who have this and you have to live with them. And so when he was having this conversation with Charlie Chaplin, he was telling the comedian, I marvel at the way you are able to make people laugh and understand what you're doing, and you're not even saying one word. You just move about and people read you, people understand you without even one word. And so Charlie Chaplin answered and said, well, you're also a marvel because you've written so many things and we still don't understand you either. So that's how it goes when, like you're saying, do we need heroes? Yes, of course we do. Where do we find them? We find them in every man. But where are they? They are the ones who do not go into public service.
I hope they surface in 2022. And I hope that these ambitioning geniuses below the average will put into their minds love of God, country, and people. Because I remember this, you were talking about Charlie Chaplin. I remember Dolphy. Dolphy, the great comedian, was asked, you know, you should run for president of this country. The way you have a lot of followers here. You know, I have seriously considered the idea. But after a time, I told myself, I cannot run for president because what will I do if I get elected? You see, these people should be asking themselves, what will they do if they get elected? And by the way, Rita, yes. I remember very well also my conversation with APJ.
Fernando Po Jr.
Yeah, Fernando Po Jr. He was telling me, you know, attorney, these senators are trying to guide me here and there. They think they can pull my nose. They are wrong, because they cannot pull my nose if I get to be president. I know what to do. I know I have things in my mind, probably better than what they have. So let them suffer the illusion that they can pull my nose, but they never can. You know, I was hesitant at the beginning to be his lawyer. I just wanted to know whether this man deserves to be president. But two incidents convinced me that he deserves to be president. The way he talked with me, you know, sharing moments. But two incidents which I confirm. After Erap won the election, he sent a new Mercedes-Benz to Fernando Po as a gift for helping him. So Fernando called Erap. What? Pare, what is this new Mercedes-Benz? Pare, sabi ni Erap, that's for you, for helping me. Pare, are you my friend or not? I don't help people as my friend to give me a gift later. Send it to somebody else, because I have a lot of cars in my garage. Don't do that again, pare, because I don't do things, so I will be given gifts. And then one time, I'll mention, I won't mention his name now. He's quite known here. During the celebration in one of the parties, APJ was seated beside Fernando Po, and this man showed up. So Fernando Po said, by God, pare, you should get rid of this type of people the moment you become president. So why, pare? Because these are the kinds of people who will destroy you. And sabi ni Erap, but pare, I cannot do that because these are my friends. You know, in less than 3 minutes, Fernando Po left the side of Erap and left the party. So this man has character. He has character. And he knows what to do. It's unfortunate that he did not become president.
These are the kind of heroes that we are talking about in the present time.
Right.
We will find them as, you know, wherever they are located. And sometimes we have to draw them out. And hopefully, like you, Bono, we have to draw you out to be able to enter that platform, the arena, the marketplace, with all of these debates, the marketplace where you can defend your ideas, they say, you know, can it be defended in Plaza Miranda, as
Yes.
I said before? But
I'm teetering at the brink, Rita.
Pardon?
I'm teetering at the brink because so many people comment in my Deliman way, presenting me the same temptation. But
It is not
who knows?
no, be not tempted, be seduced. Okay, Bono, I think we are closing. So before we do that, I'd like to just look over some of those who've joined us just in the beginning. So let's see how it goes from there. They're just welcoming you. Good evening, Bono Adaza, Ma'am Rita. Nice topic. Madam Rita should run for our senator. Oh my goodness.
You see.
My dear Mia and June, thank you very much for that. But it is not a compliment with the caliber of senators that we have today, with the exception of perhaps a few, 1 or 2 or 3 that you can count with your fingers who were exceptional and deserve to be in the Senate. But if that is the kind of Senate that you would want me to enter into, leave it to them na lang at this stage. Regime, unless we have changes in the Constitution for a parliamentary form, perhaps that would be a better arena. By the time, Bono and I will just be entering our teenage years. So we're just up for the fight. Reggie Maloloy on Avenido, good evening po, Madam Rita and Sir Adaza. Provencio Jimenez, good evening to both of you, etc. So good afternoon from Delphine Estigoy, your companion and all the viewers of KDP. Good afternoon. God bless you from Hong Kong. Zenea Arcilia and several others. Sino pa ba ito? Mga kapakanan ng iba. Ang tunay na bayani, yun ipinaglalaban niya para sa bayan at handang ialay ang kanyang buhay para sa kapakanan ng iba. Tunay na bayani yung lumalaban para sa katotohanan. This is from John Cyril Onato. So thank you very much for all of this. If FEM is alive, he would be about 104 years old today. Yes, but we can go back, as we've said, to the kind of platform that he had when he entered politics. Even as a congressman, he already had a vision for the country. So that is what we have to look for in the leaders, supposedly leaders that we have today. So this is Ruben Nanoy watching from Santo Tomas, Batangas. Good evening to you, Attorney Adaza. William Nakita, bakit mo palaging question? Wala namang tutulong yan sa taong bayan. Puro dagdak lang dyan at yabang. I don't know who you're referring to here. This is William Nakita. But whatever it is, really, marami talagang dak-dak lang, etc. So, and we are not emulating them at all. Olive Picar is saying good evening to you, Bono. Unite Elmer, good afternoon. And then we have Ernie Ocampo, magandang araw po. And for your guest, Homobono, Adaza, mabuhay po kayo. And of course, I think they're
Thank
really
you.
pushing you to run for the Senate. Lean this, keep PR insurance, simot na ang gobyerno sa mga korap. Kawawa naman ang mga OFW na niloloko ng gobyerno. This is from Lynn. Darwin Ortega Didal, hello po, Attorney Adaza. Alam niyo po ang pinagmulan ng mga maharlikang lahi. Okay, so that's for you. Conversion sa Longkong, good afternoon po. Mr. Adaza, long time no hear. Glad to hear you now. Freddy Oredina, heroes of the past was not influenced by oligarchs, presently the enemies of the states. Heroes are hated by oligarchs. Oh dear. Alberto Casim, good afternoon po sa inyo. Sylvia I and Diane, hello Katipunan, watching from New York, Excelsior. And then we have several others. Aya Kylie Ru, watching from Japan, from Okinawa, Japan. More power to you, more power to. Nasasabi ko, stay sharp, stay healthy, stay smart. Okay, so several others, Bono, we won't have time.
Thank them for me, and God bless, and may they live long enough.
Oh yes, we will. As Mephistopheles, did not
To see the day, yeah.
Yes,
See the day.
he started aging when he was already 90, actually. So that was when he was starting life, and I think we're just about to get there to start again a new face in our lives. So thank you very much, Homobono Adaza from Cagayan de Oro, but staying in Metro Manila now because of this
God
pandemic.
bless, Rita.
Yes, thank you.
Stay safe always, and take care.
Yes. So from wherever you are all located, good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Thank you very much for having joined us. This is Rita Gadi, and this has been your hour.